A few years ago, I was running a business. Today, I'm setting up pasture and fencing for sheep.
So while I watched the sheep eat the driveway grass, I thought I'd tell you the story of how I got here raising sheep. So very briefly, I owned and founded Taylor Studios. I have a lot of branded wear from my old company that works really well in the farm. So I've got T-shirts and shirts and jackets that I wear from my company that I sold in 2021. So I founded the company and ran it for over 30 years. The company planned, designed, and built exhibits for nature centers and museums and corporations and a variety of clients. A lot of our work was natural history related. So we taught people about conservation and nature and wildlife. So I'm very connected to the land and wildlife. And so then after I sold, I had this farmland more after I sold. Previously, I had a tenant farmer that just paid me rent and did the crops. I did run all the CRP land, meaning I planted and took care of it on a yearly basis. But that farmer, wow, it's windy, so hopefully you can hear me. That farmer I worked with had no interest in moving in a non-traditional direction with the farm, where improving soil health, regenerative approach. I asked him if he'd plant cover crops, or how could we use less chemicals, and he just wasn't interested. I think it would be hard to change his farming practices for one little piece of his farming practice. He probably farmed thousands of acres, and mine was less than 100 at that time. Now I've got 125 tillable. And I found Frank and Eric Rademacher, who are doing regenerative farming in my county. So they have been doing it for a decade, so they've made all the mistakes. And I visited their farm as I was just sort of considering, what do I do? And they called and said they'd be willing to farm for me. So I was very grateful, because they're in a little town, I don't know, 20 miles from here, maybe not even that far, but that's a long drive on farm equipment. So very grateful that they were willing to help me out and move this farm into a healthier direction where we take care of the soil and so forth. And then I was like, okay, well, how can I add some livestock? And I had a friend that put his cattle in my horse pasture. So I've always been passionate about horses. I've had horses my whole life. I did grow up on a farm, but I haven't been on that farm for 4 years. So I was 17. I'm 57.
The wind was so bad you couldn't hear me. I was discussing my research on what to do next.
Add to the farm. And then I learned just how good livestock is for the soil. And since it's just me, I felt like the sheep were safer than cattle. I didn't want to walk in my pasture when that bull was in there, even though he was gentle and nice. I was concerned. So after some research on goat and sheep, I picked sheep because they are grazers. As you can see, there's my new sheep here. It's going to be all grasslands, and goats actually prefer, woody, bushy kind of stuff, and brambles and things like that. So I really wouldn't have good pasture to raise goats on. And so the sheep will help regenerate the land. I can fill my freezer with food that I know is high quality. I'm not giving them grain, so it's just going to be rotationally grazed, grass-fed sheep. And so then that's the goal, is just to raise the sheep, continue to develop the soil in this land. I'm going to turn that into a silvo pasture at some point. So this is my new adventure. It's sort of a retirement gig. Which certainly makes it easier. I know making profits on small homesteads and with livestock is really difficult. I hope at minimum to break even, but once you've invested a lot in this pasture or grassland, if anything, it's a healthy mental and physical lifestyle.
Just a few years ago, I was running Taylor Studios and had no idea that I would be a sheep farmer, wondering if my pasture is going to be ready by April 1, and spending my days taking care of animals on the farm. There's my horses back behind me over there. So I feel very fortunate. You know, towards the end, I didn't know if I could sell. I thought about selling to my employees, but I investigated that, and that could have taken a decade. So it happened fairly quickly that I was able to sell the company, and then, you know, it took a year or so to figure out how to do this. We'll see how the future goes. Let's see if I can get this pasture rejuvenated, if I can reinvigorate the land here and be a good steward. That's my new goal in life, and I feel just really grateful that I have this opportunity to live this lifestyle. Gosh, I'll turn and show you the sheep grazing in the barnyard, and Osage is here with me.